This is the Ponderous Brick Thinker with a castle update, and the update is, I liked how this turned out, so it will be used as the example for the other corners. In addition, by the end of the episode, I should have a base ready for actual castle construction. However, I do have 2 more bases to construct, and it will be after those are finished that I actually begin the castle construction, but it will be a great milestone to have this one finished. I do want to revise this a bit. I do want to avoid banded lines like right here, and I'll insert some colors because leaving like this, it looks too much like a geologic feature. So I'm going to keep as much of the chunk as I can, but just switch out a few bricks here and there. But overall, I like this approach. And I do want to just reiterate what I mean by the browns. So the dark brown, brown, dark tan, dark orange, dark red, and nougat. So far, these are the only kind of brownish terrain looking colors I have. And I'm going to use those for, say, for example, they had the mountain. So I'm going to use these colors to represent the infill that the Lego people used to create their flat surfaces. So on the top of this mountain, they piled these stones of different colors and built their castle. The reason I am not using this approach is that the blocks appear too small. It is fine detail, but in retrospect, it seems it's almost like gravel or pebbles. Rather, it should be large stones for the foundation of the castle. That's why the other side, it looks more stately, that you get bigger chunks of color, indicating it might be a larger stone than an actual brick. I have replaced some of the bricks with different colors, but that is not the reason why I'm pausing here. It is for this kind of support right there. I set aside these bricks so that maybe they will help attach the rocks when it was kind of leaning away. But I don't think it's going to be possible. So here we have this plate, and I attach it. It's good. But notice here it is very flush. It's practically on the level right there. Perfect. With the rocks in place, you can see that it's not quite latching onto the horizontal studs, but also you can see that it's practically millimeters away from the very top. So that tells me this is not on the same grid as what the horizontal studs are, and that at that height it was practically a good placement. Everything else was off, obviously off the grid, but with this much difference, it's not latching on, and that tells me I won't be able to use it as I intended. So I'm gonna use those for support and structure, but not necessarily to help, just secure the rocks to the surface. I believe this is the last iteration for this corner. Since you last saw it, I did edit and rearrange the bricks. I kind of purposely put 2 high chunks here and there to kind of emphasize that these are larger stones than what a normal Lego brick is. This is so that it appears that the heavier stones are at the bottom and everything else will be on top. And I did start on this corner just for planning, kind of visualizing. Since this is, let me recap what happened. I built this rock face so that it would touch the edge of the green plate, which is something I did not want to do because I want the browns to come up and then further along have the castle walls be able to be placed on top of there and be able to hide the green plate. And that way it's not a consistent, here's the green plate line throughout the build. So I need to push away from the surface a little bit. And I'm trying to figure out what would be the best way. And recognizing that the Lego people would have seen this, they will probably make this a little bit nicer. It won't be as rough as the other side where it will be just random bricks placed here and there, but try and make it a feature, make it look nice. So these are the bricks I have that are inverted, and haven't decided yet the color scheme, and it should probably be a color scheme so that it looks more organized. Here's like the design part, and everything else are just the foundation blocks coming up until it gets there. The other thing is this is a corner where there's going to be practically brown bricks, almost like a bridge. Okay, let me show you the front side. And probably this side too. Just to show the structure behind the brown bricks, I did enhance it some more. It was just requiring something there to ensure it doesn't tilt in that direction, so it's pretty much secure. I am probably going to have to do that over here, especially over that span. I only have so many long bricks, and they're not that long. So that leads me to this solution, in which with a classic creators bucket sets that they just released, they always include the doors and windows. I'm not planning on using the windows because they're just square, kind of okay, but they'll make great support, and that's what I'm planning on using. The other option will be to use the bows, or I call them half arches, but they will make great trees. This is a dark brown, and I think this will be better served out in, being the foliage rather than the support. So first instinct will be to use the doors and windows, the classic creator sets, and maybe even the cozy house. But they're one depth, so it might have to be a corner situation to make it sturdy. My next step will be to get the brown bricks up to visible height. That will be finalizing the hidden structure that will support it, and then kind of work out what will be the overall arrangement for this area. Here's the sketch of what the corner might look like. These bricks right here, they will be kind of protruding from the brown wall, and hopefully with the repeated pattern of the browns, it will be distinguishable from the brown wall it is protruding from. So that is the hope. It doesn't really need to call attention to itself. It just needs to read that there is some extra structure going on that's supporting something on top here. You would also notice that there's a difference, but eventually this would become this way. I just wanted to point out, it's a design choice on my part, that I have these 2x2 3 bricks tall single brick, and I would like to use them because I have several of them, and I thought here would be a good place. But in my eye, it's just a little too much brown. So one way to kind of hide it a bit is to use the horizontal horizontal studs, so that way I can add in get this. If that's the final castle color, put some color there, or a flat plate that's one of the other brown colors, just to break this up a bit. So eventually I will have this over here, and I did alter the rocks a bit. This was far lower than I expected, but overall it shifted okay. The end result was that here I removed a wedge or a wing, and I'll be able to use that in the other sides of the bases. And from here, I'm going to start working on the bricks and probably get them to the point where I can see them above the rocks, and that way I can know more or less where I need to put the bricks. In addition, I have support in there. I have the casings for the doors and windows. It is actually very stable. Once I attach it to the structure, it's going to be even more stable. You'll notice a fault, and that's on purpose. I am going to put more browns. I'm going to need to wedge it under here and on top of that. maybe even put more browns there, but it's like a very, and then insert. And so I like this system because I can insert here at this level. For a door, it's 6 bricks tall, and it's not as convenient. This is 3 bricks, more convenient, but this is suitable for the corner where I'm going to have a lot more features. But this helps bridge, make sure there's something underneath the brown so it's more secure. On this side, it will be again for the browns to rest on, and I just need to figure out a way how to connect there. But that is what I'm using with those square windows and doors. You'll also notice that there's more red and yellow in play. It's because I took out some of the yellow and red bricks to start helping secure the browns together. I was relying on this color for the structure, but I am running out, or have run out, of the pieces that I need to really help it secure. And so rather than risk making a weak connection, I went ahead and took out some of the, it's just averagely long bricks, 2x6s or 6 length, to help bridge, connect things together, make it secure. After these run out, it will be another color set to help in. That way, I'm not solely reliant on the yellow, red, or the other colors, and it will be just a few from the collection to help finish this up. As you can see, the rock wall has been built behind the sketch. Now it's fully integrated into the structure, and that corner is covered, and along this wall up to that point. So I have this here. Now I just want to point out what I like and what I don't like so far. Is I like this. It has the chunks of color, but they appear to be stacked upon the other, and that's the effect I would like. But up here, they're nearly perfectly square, which is what you would expect from foundation stone, but it looks a little too plain for me. And here, I'm not too pleased with. It's perfectly aligned, and that's something I want to avoid. What was restraining me was the availability of the color sizes available, that if I use them all here, I wouldn't be able to use them in the other bases. And so right now, I'm okay with leaving it like this. And then you'll also notice that I have built to the green plate, which is pretty much the maximum height. And if you recall, that was something I was going to try and avoid, because I could come down a bit with the final color of the wall. But I also want to make sure that if I have enough browns, do I have enough to reach the base on, or reach the plate on all the bases? And that way I know in the future, yes, I have enough browns. If I don't, I can always take away these top layers and put the final wall color there. And in that effect, this will be in the other bases, and it will give me an opportunity to still kind of move things around. And if you look, I wouldn't be too worried about this because it's readily accessible, surprisingly. But then you can see also how the door and window casings helped bridge this here, insert it into there, the different structure to help support the browns. Let me do this side too. For this one, I didn't need too much. I just need to support this right here. This, I can still come in and push it more this way, but I think it's pretty stable as it is. And if you recall, there's going to be more additions to help attach this to the final plate. So there'll be a plate of the final color wall, or some kind of feature that will hook it onto there. But so that's how it looks without the rock facing. Now to the other side. One of the things I'm going to try and do is keep this idea in play. And what is kind of difficult is that it's on a flat surface, so I can't really do depth. But I can try and do it this way, where there's a little off-centered, so it's not a perfect grid. I think that's what is troubling me about right here. And on this side, I had the luxury of going back in steps that helped break up the monotony of having just, a flat brown wall. And so over here, this is going to be redone and fill in that way. Okay, so that's the update so far. At this point, I added more structure to the support that will hold up the brown bricks. And you can barely see them because what I did is where it's going to be seen, I put it the proper color, one of the brown colors. But if it's not going to be seen, I kept it to the support bricks, which are now including the light yellow and pink. But in this case, wherever it's going to need bricks, they have a place to be placed on and up to here. So I'm thinking of going to do this side or these two sides together. Here I'm going to go high with the browns, even though it's going to be behind the rock face, but we'll see how that looks. And I'm thinking of starting here because this rock face practically divides it. There's no connection. I still haven't thought if this is going to be the final wall color or rock face, but I'm going to put the browns here, so that way if I need them elsewhere, it's going to be the wall bricks that's going to go there. So this side, this corner first, and then I'll move on to the lowest point and then build outwards to those parts. So that's the plan. This corner is now covered. Overall, I liked how it turned out. I find this arrangement a little bit more pleasing than having absolute grid. And so I'll keep that in mind for the other bases and maybe even for this half right here. I do want to point out that this is a little intense, but to do with the big blocks, it will come out, I think it will come out too boring. So having the smaller blocks or more colors in there helps, but that is as of right now because it could be the finished castle walls. And so right now I'm going to go with it until I take it out. And the other thing is, let me actually rotate this a bit more, because here, overall it does match up to the wall here, but it's being pulled away. And I think, and I'm using the same method as the other rock walls, it's able to stay close to the edge. And I believe because there's nothing pulling it away. Here we have a large chunk. So if this were lifted, then it will be matching the stone walls there. So my thought is that because so much weight is away over here, that the pin right here bends this way, and even by a slight degree, as it goes taller, it becomes more obvious. So my thought is to put more weight on this side, so that way it can maybe rest a little bit more comfortably this way. The other thought is to somehow reduce the weight of this, but I think I'll do what needs to be done after I complete the other bases, because by then I will know how many whites, blacks, and grays I have left, and if I need to switch it out with other pieces, then that will be, I have a clear defined limit as to what I can do. But for right now, I'll keep it like that, and I think it will only be obvious when I take the final photos. But for right now, I'm going to leave it as is and start working on this corner, basically finishing from here to there. I do want to point out that I think I'm going to leave the browns below the green plate, because I do have some peaks going beyond the green plates, and I think I'll leave it like that for now. Again, it might be castle finished walls right here, and we'll see how it goes. It is done, or at least the basic part of the base. And look at that, the Lego people are going crazy with joy. So let's take a look at what this is all about. So here's the corner I was working on, and it is less as I was before, though the other one had its charm. It's just that for this kind of build, it's a castle, it should have more stately appearance, so having bigger splotches of color helps suggest that these are bigger blocks somehow connected. But here we are with this last corner, and the support is still there, and there we go. From here on out, this one can be put to the side for now, and then I'm going to go to the middle base. Oop. There we go. And from there, I'll just go into descending order. I should be able to, there we go. So that's how the overall castle is going to be connected together. And let's see how it goes. Well, this has been the Ponderous Brick Thinker. Thank you for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed it, maybe learned something. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see how this project turns out, go ahead and subscribe. See you next time.